Okay, guys, so I'm gonna be today talking to you guys about benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines, guys, and this one I'm gonna be giving you guys. It's gonna be the full explanation, covering everything that is mentioned in the first aid 2015. But this applies for all first aids, most first aids. So it's the first aid. It's going to be explaining everything from there, and it's not only going to be explaining that, but it's also going to be giving you guys the mnemonic for how to remember all the benzodiazepine. There's so many of them. What should be the mechanism of action, what is the action in terms of where does it affect, and I'm also be talking about like how it affects sleep, and also how it is very similar to other things. So first, I'm going to be describing a bit about the action. So if you look at all this text, you can get very bored. So I'll just start draw out whatever I like, what I really want to be saying. So first of all, guys, this benzodiazepine, it binds to a GABA receptor. So I'm going to be drawing a GABA receptor here. The only thing about GABA receptors is that it has GABA receptors have five subunits. So they are made out of five, like you can say, subunits or proteins, you can say. So, and they are mainly made out of 2 alpha, and this is the 2 alpha which I'm going to draw in green, and then with a very different color, I'll draw in yellow, which will be the one second, yeah, here, one second, okay. Well, this is going to be the receptor for the GABA. So basically, what do benzodiazepines do? They basically they increase the amount of GABAergic activities, and like I said over here, it really just doesn't really do much in terms of in terms of itself. It really just, you can just say that in one sentence. If you were to say what do benzodiazepines they do, you can basically say that they increase GABA activity, and they basically go and they bind to the GABA receptor. So I've drawn a GABA receptor over here, this having the 4 subunits, and you can imagine this occurring at a postsynaptic membrane. So over here you can really look at this at the postsynaptic membrane, and you can imagine this the receptor on top, which the GABA. So GABA, the main thing is GABA over here, and this is going to be postsynaptic membrane. Benzodiazepine, they change the GABA by having a higher affinity. So if I were to draw GABA in in a circle with a, let's just say GABA over here, it'll be a very black color. Let's just say this is our GABA. If GABA were to bind here, but in the presence of benzodiazepine, it basically, what benzodiazepines they do is that benzodiazepine, I will also draw benzodiazepines over here. I'll draw benzodiazepine in a blue color, and benzodiazepine, they'll bind here, and then GABA will bind here, and it increases the affinity of binding, meaning it increases the stickiness, and it allows GABA to bind there for more frequent amount. And I'm going to be explaining that more. So it binds at the highest affinity, and there's going to be usually the interface is usually the alpha subunit and gamma 2 subunits. So let's just imagine this green one is the alpha subunit. So usually the benzodiazepines, they bind to the alpha subunit, or they can also bind to the gamma 2 unit. So they can bind somewhere over here. They are commonly found in the CNS. So you can imagine in the brain, and they can in the brain, their receptors are known as BZ1 or BZ2. So benzodiazepine 1 receptor or benzodiazepine 2 receptors. And when this happens, when this GABA binds benzodiazepine happens, what happens is that something is released. Like you can imagine, like this channel is not only a receptor, it also allows the for instance, the release of something. So guys, over here I'm going to be drawing in a I think I'll draw in a red color. I'm going to be putting this as the chloride. So you can imagine when these two bind, chloride comes in. So when chloride comes in, it really, what happens is that it leads to hyperpolarization in the postsynaptic membrane, and it pulls away from the threshold, leading to less action potential. So what does any of that mean? So you can imagine the action, you can imagine if I were to just find the action potential on just any Google image over here. So as we can see, I'll just open this photo 1 second. This is the best photo, and copyrights go to molecular devices, but I'm just gonna yeah, give me a second. Yeah, okay, now if we were to just zoom into this photo, as we can see, the threshold over here is 55, right. If I were to make it more negative by putting more chloride, so it'll be, the threshold will go down. So now when the threshold goes down, you need much more like positive to come in to bring the threshold and start the action potential. So that's the main thing of benzodiazepine. It binds. Let me just recap whatever I said. It binds over here. Benzodiazepine. I will just summarize benzodiazepine in 3 words. First of all, benzodiazepine. They are mainly at the GABA receptor. They increase GABAergic activity, and when they do that, they are mainly in the brain, and they mainly allow the chloride channels to open, which leads to hyperpolarization, leading to less action potentials. Less action potentials. So that's how simple it is. GABA binds, more frequency of binding. I mean, more frequency opening these chloride channels over here, more negativity, less action potentials. That's really how simple benzodiazepine is. Now, guys, I want to talk a bit more about like the clinical activity. Before I get into the details, I just want to summarize it. So there are basically, if I were to summarize it, there's like 5 to 6, I believe so. You can say like clinical activities, 5 to 6, I would say so in summary. And the first thing you want to know about benzodiazepine is coming to those people who have anxiety. So that's why over here, the first thing I put over here, a picture of someone who is obviously having the anxiety problems, and basically what benzodiazepine do, they decrease anxiety. That's the main thing they do. They decrease anxiety. So you should kind of put this picture in your head that okay, it should be given to a patient with anxiety problems, right? I want to also highlight that benzodiazepines are not antipsychotic, so they don't. If you are like psychotic, you're you have some psychotic problems, it does not help against that. So that's what I want to make sure. And also another thing, it doesn't affect the inner autonomic nervous system. So don't don't expect it to affect the GIT or the bladder or the blood vessels. Rather, like I was saying over here, the CNS. Make sure it affects the CNS. And it is sedative. So like as I put a picture over here, sedative. Sedative means something that I've got this on the internet, with that it is something that is a drug which is able to produce a state of sleep or calmness. And the next thing is it can cause hypnosis, and that is going to be the induction. And basically what happens in hypnosis is that it is going to be a state of basically you lose the ability to do voluntary actions. That's the main thing, hypnosis. The next thing is a memory, amnesia. You can kind of lose memories over here. Second is anticonvulsions. So if you're someone who has epilepsy for some sort of reasons, this drug is very good. And the next one is muscle reactions. It can affect your muscles, your skeletal muscles, not smooth. Like I said, it does not affect the autonomic nervous system. Let's get into a bit more details. Like I was saying, the first thing is that it is antipsychotic, anti-anxietic. So if you have anxiety, it basically enhances GABAergic transmission by binding to the alpha 2 subunits. Like I was saying in my first slide, that it is made out of 5 subunits. I believe so. Yes. Yeah, it's made out of alpha, beta, gamma, and these combine in the postsynaptic membrane. So in our, what do you call it, when you want to decrease anxiety, it binds to the alpha subunit, and therefore there's more GABAergic and there's more inhibition. So therefore you're going to feel less anxiety. Sedative hypnosis, again, same thing, but over here it binds to the alpha 1 receptor. So if you were to go over here, again, it binds to the alpha 1 receptor. So imagine the green is alpha 1 receptor, benzodiazepine binds here, allows more GABA to be bind, and it allows more chloride to come in, more negativity, less action potentials. Then they can also cause amnesia. Amnesia is basically your memory is impaired, and that's going to be basically, it's going to go bind to the alpha 1. Again, same receptor, and this, it decreases the ability to learn and decreases the ability to make some memories. You cannot make any more memories. Anticonvulsions are going to be it is that it binds to the alpha and it leads to decreased epilepsy. So the first 4 ones are all alpha and they decrease something. The last one is that it binds to alpha 2 in the presynaptic membrane and it leads to inhibition. It can lead to inhibition, and that can really relax spasms. So let's just say you're having muscle spasms, it will decrease the amount of muscle spasms. The next thing which is mentioned in the USMLE first aid book is that it can cause decrease of rapid eye movement sleep. So what does any of that mean? Before I even dive into rapid eye, I want to talk about non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement. Below is rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement is your eye is moving. You need like some energy, right? You need you need the CNS to be activated, that it's going to be moving. But non-rapid eye movement, you don't really need any energy. So you can imagine that there is slow wave, right? So this what this drug does is that it decreases latency of sleep. Basically, it decreases it basically decreases latency of sleep, means that it takes you more time to sleep. That's the main thing. It takes you a lot of time to sleep. You need a lot of time to sleep. That's the main thing. So what more time? I'll just write that, more time. Yeah. And then it increases the amount of stage 2 non-rapid eye movement. It increases the stage. So where's stage 2 of non-rapid eye movement? If you look over here, it increases this. Stage number 2, it increases it. So non rapid eye. Wait, I need to talk a bit about like, look. First of all, the first thing is that you're awake. Like me and you right now, we're awake. So our brain waves, sleep waves are over here. Stage 1 is that you can easily be waking up. So if you can easily be wakened by a voice, just someone walks in your room, you can wake up. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is that if you need some vibration, a bit of a stimulus, and then you can wake up. Stage 3 is that you are deep sleep, and that's slow wave sleep, right? So, like I said, benzodiazepines, they want you to be awake. That's the key. Like I'll write it here. Benzodiazepines, they want they can be used for insomnia, but they have these effects that they want you to be light sleeping. That's about it. Want you to light sleep. That's the main, light sleep. That's benzodiazepines. So when it increases if you want light sleep, so then you should increase your non-rapid eye movement, and you should decrease your rapid eye movement and slow wave speed. So your rapid eye movement or your slow wave speed, so your deep sleep or your rapid eye movement is also deep sleep. It wants to decrease that, and it wants you to lightly sleep. That's the main thing about benzodiazepines. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is benzodiazepines before I go to my mnemonic, which is hopefully the best part of this video. It is the barbiturates and ethanol and benzodiazepine. They're very, very similar. Why? Benzodiazepines, they can decrease the CNS. So can alcohol. So can barbiturates. Addictive. Now I find it that people find it really hard addictive. Is because alcohol is very addictive. The same way that barbiturates and benzodiazepines are also very addictive. What's the difference between them? If I were to, sorry, I kind of confused this. I want to talk about a difference between benzos and bars and ethanol. Ethanol would be less risk of respiratory depression. So barbiturates, they can cause respiratory depression by binding to the hypoxic chemoreceptors, and that leads to respiratory depression, might lead to death. But so that's the main thing. It won't cause you respiratory depression and coma. So that's a good thing about benzodiazepines. But these similarities, like I was saying, first of all, I was saying that the first similarity is depression. It can be addictive, and it can lead to detox of alcohol. Why? Because they all can bind to the GABA receptor, and that can cause ligand-gating chloride. So detoxification means that you want to remove alcohol, and but you still want to get effects of alcohol, like the CNS effects. So benzodiazepines can go bind, and that can lead to detoxification. And then you don't need when you bind to your receptors, you're satisfied, and you don't want more alcohol in your system. And when you don't want more alcohol in your system, you can kind of detox. That's a really good thing. So I'm gonna just end with a mnemonic. How to remember all of this. Yeah. So first of all, benzodiazepine can be divided into their half-life. So for the short-acting are mido, glycino, tosifam. The intermediate are bol. So bromazepine, lorazepam, or prazolam, ozazepam. And the last one is DC, diazepam, and clonazepam. Short-acting is going to be, so the mnemonic is must see TV with a bol and watch DC. So the must over here, the M is midoxanam. The C over here is sinazepam, sinolazepam. The T over here has a lot of things, so it can be triazepam, timazepam, triazolam, timazepam, chloride and tofisopam. And the immediate ones, which is 6 to 12 hours, are triazolam is not here. Sorry. Is ozazepam, alprazolam. This fits over here, but I'm not sure whether these are 2 to 5 hours in terms of their elimination. I think it'd be intermediate acting instead. So they can be ozazepam, alprazolam, bromazepam, lorazepam, and the long acting 16 to 800 hours is diazepam, clonazepam. So these are the main thing. One thing else which step 1 mentions is that, the first thing mentioned is active metabolite. Active metabolite means something that can be metabolized in the body. So guys, before I leave, I want to kind of quiz you guys, whether you guys were listening or not. So guys, what are the 5 subunits of the benzodiazepine receptor? So that's alpha, beta, and gamma. Okay, the next second question I want to be asking you guys is, what is the main effect of benzodiazepine on the chloride receptors? Right, so benzodiazepine increases frequency. That's the next one. My third question for you guys is going to be, what are the effects of benzodiazepines clinically speaking? When do you want to give them to a patient? So that the answer is anxiety. Maybe you want to make them a sedative hypnosis. Maybe you want them to, anterograde amnesia, anticonvulsants. Anticonvulsants can be given by relaxants. Anterograde amnesia is like a toxicity. And now my fourth question is, what is the impact on sleep of benzodiazepine? Decrease REM. My last question is, when do we give benzodiazepines with alcohol? When you want to detox. So these are the questions. This is the mnemonic. Hope if you are kind of useful. Thank you very much for watching.